And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Once again, it is the Weighing In podcast. We are back to talk about all of the things happening in the world of MMA. I really want to just talk about the fighters and the fights, because that's what's the important part of this. And that's what I'm going to talk about, because there's some people that are cracking me up. I shouldn't have said that.
Oh, it makes me laugh, man. Hey, we can both say we've actually been in the cage. I love it. Oh, okay. All right. Let's talk. I guess before we get started, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel as well as our Clips channel. There's a link down below on our main channel to get you to the Clips channel. Hit that link. Subscribe to both, please. Hit the little bell. We drop our notifications so you guys can see us anytime we drop something new. We're gonna be dropping some new stuff periodically throughout the week, so don't miss out. Then on top of that, our audio platforms are on fire right now. They're growing significantly, which we really appreciate you guys hitting that subscribe button there as well. We've got iTunes, Spotify are our two main ones that most people watch, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, all of them. So make sure you guys hit the subscribe button there and check us out. All right, well, let's move right into the UFC, man. Let's talk about it. Excuse me, burp.
Boy,
let's talk about it.
Someone's been eating some Italian food or something.
No, it's hurting. I didn't have a monster today, so I tried a Bang, and I tried Bang Energy today. So it's got a little bit more. I feel like a little bit more caffeine. It's got some creatine in it too. So I gave it a try. It was here at my gym, and it's not too bad. It's a little sweet. It's a little sweet to me. I don't. Yeah, I mean, but I'm sure they got other ones. This is just the ones that we had available at my gym that were picked up. So it was a little sweet for me. But maybe I'll get some gains from all that creatine, baby. Yeah. Maybe I'll give you, hey, you know what? Maybe I'll give you the rub.
They do sponsor future welterweight champion Colby Covington, so there's that as well.
Oh, see, okay, hold on.
Oh, geez.
Just because you like that WWE crap, stop with your bullshit, okay? Podcast Dave, if you're going to come on and you're going to speak on this podcast, it must be the truth.
That's why I said what I said.
Oh, man, this guy. I love me some Podcast Dave. It's great. All right, well, hey, there's a couple fights on here that I'm really stoked about, actually, to be honest.
Talk to me, Goose.
Look, the one that I want to see, and everyone knows that I'm a true homer, but is Dwight Grant and Trinaldo, man. That fight I want to see.
I knew you were going to say Dwight Grant.
Of course, Dwight Grant's my boy.
AKA.
Yeah, he's my boy, man. He got some dogs in his hand. He likes to throw. He lacks the cardio sometimes.
He's got a guy that's got dogs in his hands also.
Yes, and the two of them are going to stand, I think, and bang it out. The one thing that Trinaldo's got over Dwight, though, I think Dwight's going to have the more power, but I think Trinaldo's going to be the one that has the better conditioning, because Trinaldo's learned over the years of fighting just to just suck it up and keep moving forward. Dwight, as he starts to get tired, tends to start backing up a little bit and letting the fight develop in front of him, and it could be the death of him. So, but I'm telling you, if he could get him out of there too. I'm just being honest. That's the thing. Right. I'm being honest. My boy. That's the homer in me to root for my boy, but I can also admit my boy's flaws. All of my boy's flaws. It drives me crazy when you got to do it, but you know what I mean. I think as long as he tightens up that conditioning factor and he learns how to fight at a pace, that's the problem. He sometimes doesn't fight at a pace. He goes too hard, almost like how Alejandra Lara does, the female fighter from Bellator. She tried to slow it down. It didn't work for her. And she tried to speed it up. It didn't work for her. She's tough as nails, but it's like the same thing with Dwight. He fights too hard. He tends to slow down too much. People get the advantage of him. If he fights at a pace, he doesn't pull the trigger enough to land the shot that he needs to get him out of there, and he still gets tired. So it's one of those catch-22s. But he's got power, man. He's got a lot of power in his hands. I've cornered him a bunch of times, and he's tough. He's tough. He's durable, and I want to remind people, he was he was the main sparring partner for Luke Rockhold for his title fight against Chris Weidman. So he was the main sparring partner for him, and that helped him a lot. I mean, Dwight was out there throwing dogs with Luke the whole time, getting him ready for that fight, and I was the main grappling partner, unfortunately, with Luke for that fight. So, because it was during the holiday season, no one was in the gym to train. Fucking dead. The gym, AK, was dead during that time. It was just me and Luke training. We both had fights coming up. But yeah, that to me, I think that fight right there is going to be a barn burner. I'm surprised it's not higher up in the card, but at least on the main card.
No, it's on the main card. I think the one that follows it, man, I think Alex Karalexis against Sung Woo Choi, that's a good fight. That Karalexis is fun to watch. Yeah, a lot of people say he's got a lot of losses. It doesn't matter. He's fought a ton of tough dudes. And, man, he is good, man, and he's actually learned how to even be, a fighter that can get guys to fall into his game the way he likes to fight. And he's been performing really well. And Choi's the real deal. He's a tough dude.
Yeah.
I don't recall. I think it was Julian Erosa, who I really think is a fun fighter to watch too. He just starched Julian. So I think this is a good fight. I think it'd be fun. I think the style matchup is going to be interesting to see. So it should be. This is a fight I look forward to. This is one that I say that one's going to be action packed. So watch.
Yeah,
it'll be horrible.
Troy got it.
It's going to end the ground.
Troy got a chin on him, man.
Boy,
he got a chin.
Oh.
He's got a beard. He'll take a bunch of shots and just
he'll
walk
take a ton of
shots.
That's it. And he will just keep coming.
I think that fight's going to be good. I think Caceres is going to have to get it to the ground, but he's going to have to mix it up. Stick and move. If he can get to the ground, get on top, I think he can dominate some top position. But he's going to be hard to get him down.
Alex hasn't lost since he had that fight with Crone Gracie. He hasn't lost since. He's been
how many
great.
What, four wins?
3 or 4 in a row.
How many wins is that?
I don't know, 3 or 4 in a row.
Let's see.
What's it at?
4
in a row. Boom. Look at that.
Chase Hooper, Austin Springer,
Kevin Kroom.
Yeah. Krone's good, man. I wonder if he's going to come back and fight. Crone Gracie. I wonder if he's going to come back and fight.
I don't know. That'll be his choice.
I don't really think he needs the money. He's one of those guys that just, it's like, I don't know. Like, he doesn't spend a lot probably. Like he
lives a pretty simple life. So
yeah,
it's all good.
Yeah. All right. What other fights on this card? I don't really see. Honestly, John, I don't really see a whole lot outside of it.
You got to talk about the main event, man. The main event, it's a good fight. It
has the potential to be a good fight.
Well, any fight has the potential to be good and bad. I mean, let's just be honest. But you look at it, and the way Vettori comes forward, the way he goes after his opponent, and the way that Paulo Costa used to, up to, and he was going after Israel. The real question is, how is he, mentally and physically after, that long layoff and stuff? Marvin's been, he's been busy. He's been doing a lot. He's been active. And both guys, their last losses to Israel Adesanya. So I don't know. I just think this is a really good matchup.
Yeah. I think Izzy really took Costa out of his game. Whereas Vettori, he was able just to stuff everything Vettori did. There's a difference on one was just shut down mentally, and the other one just kept trying, but it wasn't working.
Yep.
And he didn't make the adjustments to try and get it. But that's, to me, in a mindset of a fighter, like when you're like what happened with Aspen Ladd, she just shut down. She did what Paulo Costa did. She just shut down, stopped throwing, and let the fight develop in front of him, and then just got picked apart. Yeah. Whereas Vittori's like, I'm going to go out of my shield. I'm trying to fucking get this fight over with. I'm trying to win. And so there's a difference in mentally on how you handle things. So I wonder how Paulo Costa has mentally prepared for this fight, because Vittori's going to try to walk him down. And if you want to talk about size, I mean, Vittori's a big guy as well.
Yeah, both of them are.
I know Paulo Costa's big. Both of them are big guys. And so it's really going to come down to, I think the speed's going to go to Paulo Costa in terms of, maybe even the power in delivering the shots. I just don't, the gas tank's going to definitely go to Vettori. The gas tank, the one thing with
the gas tank and the ground and pound.
Yeah, and the ground.
He's just better there.
But Vettori doesn't fight smart though. He kind of just like when he fought Izzy, he just walked forward and threw shots and kept shooting the takedowns. Now Paulo Costa, he has moments where he fights smart, and then he has moments where he just lets it all go and just tries to knock you the fuck out. So I mean, I really believe, like when you were saying, this has the potential of being a great fight. I think it is going to be a good fight. I think it just really depends on which Paulo Costa shows up. Do we get the one that fought Izzy, or do we get the one that fought Yoel Romero?
Exactly.
If we get the one that fought Yoel Romero, fuck, we're in for a barn burner.
Yeah, that's exactly it. If he's mentally back and he's like, he put that fight to the side and says, it's like it didn't even happen. This is going to be a great fight because I know Vettori's going to come after him.
I'm surprised this dude doesn't have a fucking modeling job.
No kidding.
That's what I don't get. Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, he's 6 foot, 185 pounds, but probably walks around 220.
225.
Yeah, he's yoked up on the off season. I mean, I don't know. I'm surprised. I mean, he's got that olive skin. I mean, he's got the look, man. I'm surprised.
Now you're starting to talk about his color of the skin and olives. Come on, what is that?
Ew, this guy, man, always trying to stir the pot. You're getting as bad as me. This is what happens when you hang out with me.
It is.
This is what
becoming
happens.
part of the whole shtick.
Oh shit, it is. I mean, overall though, I'm pumped for the fight. I think it's gonna be a good fight. I think some excitement out of that fight. Both of them have a lot to lose. You don't want to take 2 losses in a row. You know what I mean? So you're going to be even further away from a title shot, and someone's going to drop pretty significantly down the rankings after this one.
Yeah,
so,
this is a huge fight for both. They both need this fight. This is not one that you go, it's if he loses it, it's not the end of it. This one's going to be significant because it'll be 2 in a row for Costa after 13 wins in a row. Where does he go from there as far as you take a look at the rankings and stuff? There's people for him to fight, but they're going to say, I don't want him. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. That's not going to be good for them. So,
yeah, here's the other thing though. Like they're both fighting. They're fighting at the Apex. Both of them fought. Izzy.
No, I think Vettori fought him at the Apex.
Had a crowd. Did he pick him at the Apex also?
Yeah.
See, to me, I feel
Apex.
Yeah, I think he did. I think, to me, not Vettori, but Paulo is someone that feeds off the energy of the crowd. That might have had something to do with it. And the fact that they're going to be fighting at the Apex again, how will that affect him? Because when you go back to the fight with Yoel Romero, I mean, it seemed like the crowd really got Paulo Costa going in that fight. It was a scrap, and I was there. That crowd was insane that night. It was nuts. That was the same night that the DC fought. I think Stipe. So, I mean, it just...
No,
he fought Derek Lewis.
No.
Yeah, he fought Derek... No, what do I need?
Because I was at the Costa Romero fight, and
so was I.
It wasn't a DC. Well,
It was a DC main event.
Take a look at who else was on that card, man.
Cormier Miocic, yeah.
Yeah.
That was Cormier and Miocic?
Yep.
Okay, you're right. Good job, Josh.
Stick with me and I'll take you places.
Okay, I appreciate that. Good job.
I told you, man. This is what I've learned about Big John. He says things with such conviction. It fucking gets me to change my mind that he's right. I swear to you.
I swear to God,
this guy.
Because I remember watching the fight and I didn't think it was the one above it. So that's the one that Daniel lost. That was a big one.
I think it is. Yeah, that was the one that Daniel lost. Yep. I believe. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because I think he beat Derek Lewis in New York. I think that was in New York.
He did. You're right. Yep.
Yeah, Derek Lewis was in New York because I was at that one too. Yeah, I don't know, man. Go ahead.
I was going to say the Costa one was no fans, but it wasn't Apex. It was Abu Dhabi.
No, that was in Abu Dhabi, but no fans. Yeah.
Got it.
Vettori
no
was
fans.
in Arizona.
Got it.
Vettori was in front of fans.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't at the Apex. Well, we were both wrong. Shit. On both of them.
Shocking.
Yeah, shocking, right?
I can't say where the fucking fights are at now. I'm not part of it.
I know. Shit, man. I tried. But I think the crowd's gonna have something to do with it because I feel like Paulo Costa is someone who feeds off the crowd. Vettori he seems very focused on what he needs to do to get the job done. Like you saw that against Izzy. No crowd or not, it doesn't matter. Or even if it was a little bit of a crowd, it's still he fought aggressive and hard the whole time. Paulo, I think he's gonna need a crowd, and I don't know if the Apex crowd is gonna be enough because I think they're allowing 1,500 in the Apex or something like that.
Oh God, no! Less. They don't even have close to that.
No, 500.
Nah, not even that. About 200.
100.
Yes, there's not that many. They sell they give tickets out to it basically
to the VIPs.
Yeah, smart.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I saw Megan Fox was there with Machine Gun Kelly.
Was that before or after?
And Park, no, it was before. It was before.
Oh,
yeah, it was before. Yeah, yeah. Dana ain't trying to piss off fucking.
That was why I was
Connor. One day he may come back. You got to leave that door open. Oh shit. Anyways, we're gonna see a good fight.
Now he's punching DJs in Italy. What the hell?
I don't know, man. Hey, but in the same weekend, he had a couple of drinks of Proper 12 with Johnny Depp. I saw that. They were, I think it was yesterday or the day before. So, hey, it is what it is. All right, well, hey, let's get into the Bellator card. This is happening in Russia coming up. Aiden Lee fighting again, huh? Oof. He's a stud. I like watching him fight.
Well, he didn't have a great outcome in his last fight, but he had a hell of a performance because he was. He did. Man, he was fighting his ass off and
fighting for his life.
Oh my God, it's crazy.
Yeah,
craziness. Mm-hmm. But that was one of those ones, man. He fought a guy that was possessed that night with his the energy and what Aaron Pico was doing. You can't say it. I thought Aiden Lee performed incredibly for what was going on, and I look forward to watching him again.
Yeah, he's a dog, man. He's someone that he never quits. He keeps fighting his ass off. He's tall, long, and lanky. Yep, I said it. Tall, long, and lanky. That's right. I mean, he fights at 145. I think he's like 6 foot, 6'1". He's tall as hell. Yeah, he's 6 foot. So, Brian Moore's on this card as well, and Mikolaev is who he's fighting. Brian Moore's got good boxing. He is good. He's so really that should be a really good fight. Brian's gonna have to stay off of his back.
Brian, the whole thing is, if Brian can keep it on the feet, got a really good chance in this fight.
Yeah.
Brian ends up on the ground on his back. It's not going to go well for him. Brian Moore, he's what I call my Irish Canelo. He throws a beautiful left hook to the body. I love the way he throws it. So
why don't you call it the Scottish Judge Thompson? Why don't you call it that?
The Scottish what?
I used to have a pretty good body shot. No, I didn't. I never did. Never did. It was horrible, man. I actually think I got hurt one time throwing a body shot. My elbow turned in. And I tweaked my elbow because I didn't have it. Yeah, it was embarrassing. It's embarrassing that I don't have a good left body shot, knowing that I'm Mexican. It's just disgusting. Javier used to always make fun of me because he's Mexican. Mendez, obviously, he's Mexican. He's like, bro, you're probably the only Mexican I know that doesn't have a fucking good left hook
to the body.
Never. He's like, your left hook sucks. I just started laughing. I was like, damn. I worked on it all the fucking time too. It just always sucked. Nothing I could do about it.
Oh, come on. No power. You're saying you worked on it. Let me ask you.
I worked on it a lot. He was adamant about getting me to learn how to do it.
Okay, did you go in there on days and all you did was throw a fucking left hook after time after time?
I did it on the damn speed bag. Just stand there, wait for the speed bag to stop. Boom, left hook. Wait for the speed bag. Bam, left hook. That, and then on the bag, dig the body. It would be like on the bike, get off, only body shot, left hook to the body, left hook to the body. He's like, Hav was one of those guys. He just had you throw one punch. Yeah. One punch.
I would have given you two different spots on a heavy bag, and you're going to hit those. Yeah.
When Kane broke his hand, he made Javier. When Kane broke his hand, I think it was his hand. He made Javier made him do 1,000 kicks every day at noon. Between two bags, he'd step to one side, kick the bag, step to the other side, kick the other bag, back and forth. 1,000 kicks every day at noon. From noon to 2 was 1,000 kicks, and he had to get it done within that time frame, or he owed
1,000 kicks sucks.
Or some shit. Yeah, 1,000 kicks is
dude. Your leg is fucking jelly at the end of that thing.
Oh, this guy kept fucking trying to. It was both legs. So he'd step to one side, kick with his rear leg, step to the other side, kick to the other leg.
Okay, it's 500 per. That still sucks.
Yeah, it's still a lot. Still too much. Okay, right, so
there is a fight on here we got to talk about a little bit before. I know you're not going to know much about him, but we have Darina Mazdiuk. Have you heard of her before?
Okay. Yes, I have. The one that fought the big 5,000 pound,
she's
500
the Red
pound
Queen.
Guy.
She fought the 529 pound guy and beat him.
Jesus, and beat him. That's embarrassing.
That is really embarrassing.
If you're that guy, where do you go after that? What do you do?
I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if he took a fall. They are Russian. Things like that could happen. Yeah, I mean, she's tough. She looked very tough. I remember the guy was trying to get her down with the front headlock, and she wasn't letting it go.
I was like, it'll be interesting to see how she does. She's fighting a girl from Poland, Katarzyna Sadura. So we'll see what she's does against a true professional fighter. But that's interesting as far as that's how she got the contract.
Yes, it is. Yep. Mike Hogan was like, "Hey, look like you can fight a little bit. Let's give you a try. Oh, you're 4-1.
Yeah, he said, he goes,
let's do it.
Any girl step in there and fight a big guy, yeah, I'll sign her.
Yeah,
that's great.
The guy, one of the Tokovs, but Anatoly Tokov, he should be fighting for the title against.
Yes, he should.
Gegard Mousasi. I don't know what the visa issue is. I'm hearing that there's a visa issue. I don't know why or what, but whatever's going on right now. I don't know if it's because it's Russia and the COVID situation, but he should be next in line for the title shot. I know he's just been waiting. It was supposed to happen pre-COVID. I think they had already talked about booking it coming up, and then COVID happened, and it was like, okay, that got put to the side. So hopefully he gets this. If he gets this win, I don't even know how to say that guy's last name.
Sharaf Daviadmuradov.
Okay, I'll take Sharaf. So Sharaf and Tokov, but Sharaf is he's tough as well. But I think Tokov just right now is on another level.
Davlat I'm telling you, Davlat Muradov. I've watched him fight. He's a good fighter. He's a tough guy. I don't think he's as good as Tokov. I think Tokov should win that fight, but he's got to come and be in shape and be ready to go because the guy he's fighting, he's tough. He will fight, man. So it's a good one. Usman Nurmagomedov is on the card. He's going against a person that you have personally watched fight. I know because you called his fight, I believe, in Ireland. And, Patrick Patila.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but no one's beating him right now. I think Usman in the 155-pound division. I don't think anyone's going to beat. There is who else is in there? There's two guys in that weight class I think that are going to give him a little run for the money.
Shabli
right
will give
now.
Shabli will give him some trouble.
Shabli will give him some trouble. There's one other guy.
Which weight is
that
it?
I had?
155.
155. So you have Usman. Who else can give him some trouble? Gosh, I was just thinking. Who was I thinking, man?
Who are you thinking?
Is there somebody in this? I know Shabli will give him some trouble. Why is Shabli not in these rankings?
Don't ask me these questions.
Gosh, these damn things are driving me fucking crazy, man. This is horrible. I hope we yank our ranking system from the media because it's just killing me.
Has he fought recently?
Yeah, he just got a win recently.
Fought about 4 months ago.
Yeah, it's just
Was
nuts,
it before
man.
or after this though? Because Brent Primus just got ranked after.
It doesn't matter if he fought 4 months ago and he won, and he's that good. He should be up on that list.
Yeah, but isn't that good? Your subjective opinion.
I'm going to subjective opinion you right in the fucking mouth, okay?
No. Yeah, it's just driving me crazy. He needs to get another fight. I do know he needs to get another fight here soon. But I mean, I think Shabli will give him a hard time. But they've trained together. They know each other. They were both at AKA at the same time, training around the same time together. Why do we have two number 7s? That's what I don't get. Just say number 8. One of them's going to have to be number 8. Just make him number 8, okay? It is what it is. Anyways, and then apparently, what's his name? Brent Primus is going to get the title shot next, but you have Sidney Outlaw that's right there ranked ahead of him. Why would he not be next? I don't understand this. And why is Patricio still there? He's not the champion anymore. It's vacant.
True.
Gosh, these guys are killing me. All right. Well, anyways. Yeah, so I want Usman. I think Shabli would give him a hard time. I don't know if they'd fight each other based on they have trained together. I think they are friends outside of all this stuff. So good stuff. Who else on this card that you're interested in?
Look, you got the guy that's one of the best heavyweights in the world that no one can talk about because he does have visa problems and they can't get him out of Russia much. But it's Vitaly Minakov, who actually used to train down at American Top Team, where his opponent Syed Soma also trains and stuff. But this guy, he's got one loss. It's to Czech Congo. It was a decision loss. It was one where he won the first round easy, but he ran out of gas because he got an infection and took antibiotics, and you could see it sapped his strength and his endurance and his cardio, and that's his only loss. The guy is a phenomenal wrestler. He has got big power in his hands. He's knocked a bunch of guys out. He's the real deal. It's unfortunate that they can't get it to where he can actually face the very best competition all the time based upon they can't get, him in a position where they can get him into the States to fight. And the only place they can get him to fight right now is in Russia. So that's why he's fighting there.
Yeah, he's really good. Like, he's really good. And I know people are like, oh, we lost a check. Look, if you guys have ever tried to train or if you guys have tried to fight being on antibiotics, especially for like a staph infection, the antibiotics just zap you. You have no energy. Go back and take a look at Luke Rockhold versus Chris Weidman. Luke had got like some sort of like gout type of infection in his ankle that week, and he was on medication that whole week. Luke was in phenomenal shape, sparring 5 rounds with different guys, the whole camp for that thing, even though Dwight was the main guy. But he never got tired, kept pushing the pace, just was that guy in the gym. Then he got to the fight, and it was like after round 1, he was zapped, done. He came out, I know in round 2, he just was exhausted, but he was able to get the win. But he was exhausted in that fight, and he almost had to be carried out of there. He was so tired. I mean, he could barely stand up after that. And that's what the medication does to you. If any of you guys have ever tried to train, if you had the flu and you were on any type of antibiotics for it, you don't have the energy. And that's the only reason why he lost that fight. I think he would have beat Czech pretty easily, I think, had he been healthy. He was the champ previously to Bellator.
He had already previously beaten him.
Yeah, he'd already been the champion
badly.
before.
He'd
already been the champion before. Then he had visa problems, vacated the title because they couldn't get him in the country. Then he came back, he had a couple of fights, and then now he went back to Russia. And then with COVID hit, he can't get back in the country again. And I think some of it has to do with his job. You know, I think he's got some sort of job that
some government
makes
job.
it difficult. Yeah, government job that makes it difficult for him to get into the country. So, anyways, all right, well, let's talk about the main event: Fedor Emelianenko versus Tim Johnson. I think this is a horrible fight for Fedor. I don't know why he picked him. He picked Tim Johnson, I believe. They gave him like 2 options or 3 options. Say, hey, these are the 3 guys that I think will be available that have said they've all take the fight and they're ready to fight you. That's it. Because he fought who's
Valentin Moldavsky.
Because he fought Moldavsky. All these Russians, man, it's hard to remember their names. Because he
Doesn't
fought
make it easy.
Moldavsky, and Moldavsky beat him, but it was a close fight. Tim was looking good. He has that Tyson Fury type body with all the energy, all the cardio. He's got a little bit of power in his hands. Ask Tyrell Fortune. I mean, he's got some good wrestling. He gets on top. He's got heavy hips, good pressure, got good ground and pound. You know, you can ask Matt Mitrione. He's good, man. He's tough. People look at him and they go, oh, look at his body. He looks fat. No. Yeah, so does Tyson Fury. Yeah. Okay, and I'm not calling him Tyson Fury. Calm down, but he's a fighter. And so I just don't think this is a good fight for him. If Fedor doesn't get him out of there in the first 30 seconds, I wouldn't say 30, the first 2.5 minutes. If he doesn't get out of there in the first 2.5 minutes, it's going to be a hard fight for Fedor.
First round. I'm going first round.
And this will be 5 rounds, correct?
This will be, I don't know, is it?
I think, weren't we moving everything to 5 rounds?
I think it's a 3 by 5. But they are moving it,
3 minute,
but I'm not sure when it starts.
Okay, yeah. I thought it was moving now. I thought
no, because they couldn't. Well, they can't do that because they signed a contract.
Oh, they were.
The contract was for 3 by 5, so they can't do it until they have them under a contract that they sign saying they'll go 5.
Yeah, that's true. This fight was already signed, so maybe once the new fight.
I believe this would be a 3-round fight.
Yeah. All right.
All right. But the thing to think about is this: if you're
probably
going to
look, Cyborg fight. I would imagine the Cyborg fight.
Well, Cyborg fight's a championship fight.
That's true as well. Fuck, I'm stupid.
You just made that one easy on me.
Yeah. You're right.
But if you're going to look at Fedor, you know, there's reasons why he's fighting Tim Johnson. He wanted to fight someone that he felt was a good fighter, that had been on a win streak. You know, obviously he lost his last fight to Fedor's teammate, but I think that had partly, you know, some of the reasons that Fedor said, yeah, that's a guy I'll fight, because they had planned for him and they had, you know, they had a game plan and they knew exactly where he's at. And now Moldavsky can come back and give him information about, you know, where Tim is good and where he thinks that he can take advantage of him and stuff. The other thing, if you're looking at it, you know, jiu-jitsu guys tend to give Fedor more problems than big wrestlers. Big wrestlers he tends to do better against. You know, throughout his career, the big wrestlers never did well against Fedor. Take a look at the people that have the wins against him. Yes, Bader has a win against him, but that was a quick knockout. Okay. But, you know, when you're taking a look, it was, you know, Fabricio Verdum, a jiu-jitsu guy. was the guy that, got that first win really, after a 31 or 32 fights. He had the one that they gave him a loss in Japan that was bullshit when he got a cut. So you had Verdum. Then you had Bigfoot Silva. Bigfoot Silva ends up getting on top of him, pounding him out, and got a win that way. But big-time wrestlers haven't had that great of a success, against Emelianenko, because Matt Mitrione is not a wrestler in any fashion, right? Okay, so there's another guy with the win, and Bader's the other guy that you're looking at. So it's not in that position. Dan Henderson would be the one wrestler if you're going to say it. Dan doesn't wrestle, so I'm just going to go with it's the big wrestlers, and big wrestlers. That's why I didn't put Dan in there. But the big wrestlers, he's done well with. The Mark Colemans and guys like that. He's always done very well. And no matter what, there is a size difference with these guys. Tim is much bigger. Okay. But even at the age of 45, I think Fedor is now, even at that age, I guarantee you his hands are way faster than Tim Johnson's. What is he? Yeah, he's 45. He's got fast hands. I will tell you that. I know it personally. The dude can move. He's got fast hands. You saw it even, in his fights with Mir and Chael Sonnen. He had moments where when he explodes, he is still fast. But as the fight goes on, he's going to wear out much faster than Tim Johnson. And Tim Johnson, if he gets that opportunity to get that fight towards the second round, into the second round, I think he'll start to take over.
Yeah. John, if he loses, I don't want to see him fight again.
I
don't want to see him fight right now. I understand why they're doing it because of the Russia thing. I remember him being so dominant for so long.
He was
so damn fun to watch fight because he was fucking reckless.
Oh yeah,
like jumping in big bombs in the ground and pound. Like when you go back and watch his fights with Nogueira, I'm surprised Nogueira's head didn't cave in. He had just destroyed Nogueira. They fought 2 times or 3 times?
Well, they fought 3 times. One ended up in a no contest because they clashed heads and Fedor got a cut on his forehead, and so it became a no contest.
He had some nasty ground and pound against everybody.
Everybody. Dude, do you remember his fight against Heath Herring? That was the one that really brought Fedor to the public's eye. In Pride, he fights Heath Herring, and Heath was on a roll, and he destroyed Heath, and it was brutal. I mean, Heath's face was all puffed up and nasty. The ground and pound that he was eating was just nasty, and everyone was like, "Oh, dude, there's the guy that they were talking about." And yep, he's for real. And then he just kept on.
Yeah. So. I look at it. He's just a shadow of himself, though, from what he used to be. And
sure.
I just don't want. I know he's 45 years old.
Yeah.
I just don't want to see. I don't want to see him fight anymore after this. Even if he wins, I don't want to see. I want him to leave as soon as he wins.
Yeah, you want him to leave, but the problem is, what he wants.
Yeah, I know. You got to treat these kind of guys with a little bit of respect, and let them dictate, what they want to do with their careers. But,
this is the one.
I don't know. If he wins in Russia, I'd like to see him just ride off into the sunset.
So would I.
See you later. Yep.
Win or lose, I'd like to see him say, "Hey, it's enough. You've done great." But I can tell you, he speaks a lot better English than most people realize.
Yeah.
He's fun to be around. He's a good guy. He's a practical. Once he knows you, then he becomes somewhat like you. He's a bit of a practical joker. He's not quite the smart ass, but he's a great guy. And he's, in my opinion, he's been one of the pillars of the sport in that, he has not, caved to just money. He's had his little principles and he's done things his way. You have to respect the fact that he's done things his way, because he could have made a lot of money in other places. He was offered a ton, and he's always decided to do things his way. And I give him credit for that. And I give him credit for the fact that, he's done it not only as a fighter, he's done fantastic as a trainer, because look at what his guys are doing. He's got fighters fighting in a lot of organizations. They're all fighting very well. A lot of champions. He does the whole thing. He is the minister of sports for MMA. in Russia. He's got a lot of responsibilities. I've gone over there and done fights for him in the amateur programs and stuff. He does a lot with that. He's just a phenomenal guy.
Yeah, I went to a show called S70 over there. Trevor Prangley was the main event for that fight. And that's the only
Wasn't
show
that
they
like
have it out there.
the black tie affair ones?
Yeah, it's pretty much like a black tie affair. So it was in Sochi right before the Olympics. Probably I think it was like in August. I think it was in September, early September, and they were still setting up the Sochi villages and stuff for the Olympics, getting ready. And I think December or February, right, is when the Olympics were. Anyways, it was awesome. Took us up in the mountains, nice little like rivers and streams running down with saunas next to it. It was beautiful. But they have out on the deck, out on this big, huge dock, they had set up an area, and there was only about 200 people invited. So it was Putin, it was Fedor was there, and then you had a couple other people. I think even Alex Ovechkin was there, the hockey player. So those three, they were all
That's why
there.
you're a Capitals fan.
Yeah, and they had about 200, 250 people, fans there. But I mean, they had military ships surrounding the whole place. They did a full background check on all of us. But overall, it was a great event, But yeah, it was a chance. We all got to meet all the fighters. Got to meet Putin, and obviously I had met Fedor multiple times, fighting in Pride, fighting in Strike Force, all of those things. So overall, like you said, great person, absolute great person. Yep. Seems very nice, and he does speak English a lot better than people. And you'll realize that too when you start talking to him, or you start asking a question, and then he smiles and like snickers when you ask something that he understands, and then you know that he understood. So then the translator repeats it, and you're like, I already know he knows what I said. So overall good stuff. That's good. I think, look, I'm pumped for the card because Usman's on there. I'm pumped for I want to see Tokov, and I want to see Anatoly Tokov, see how well he does after this long time off.
Who was part of Fedor's fight team?
Yes, and then Minikov as well, him coming back after all of this as well. So there's a lot of guys on this card that people just are not looking at, but they're tough Russian guys. And so I'd like a lot of people to get some hype around them. But overall, good stuff. Well, we want you guys to go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code WAYNEIN. There's plenty of things that are coming up to finish off this year to bet on with football, basketball, MMA, a lot of top-level MMA events coming to your TV, and also things for you guys to bet on. That cannot wait for you guys to start winning some money. If you guys listen to Big John and myself, we will give you some of our predictions. Go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code WAYNEIN. Let me say that one more time for you guys. Go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code WAYNEIN, and we're going to try to help you win some money.
All right, we're going to talk about the exchange between Jan Blachowicz and
Blachowicz. If you can't say the name, don't say it.
All right, Jan.
I'm all over you today, Dave.
The champ. The champ, Jan Jones.
Jan Jones.
He's 205, right? And Corey Anderson. They had the Twitter exchange. They're basically, Corey was saying he's the best. Jan said you're not the best. Like that. The gist of it. No,
let's read it. Jan.
Okay.
So Corey does a thing after he wins, and he says he's like, I'm the best. And I think Coker even said in the presser that Corey Anderson, whoever wins this tournament, whether it's Nemkov or if it's Corey Anderson, that's going to be the best 205 pounder in the world.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard for me to argue that. And I'm not doing that because I'm a homer. I know people are like, oh, you're a homer, you're this in Bellator. No. Absolutely not. I'm not being a homer. Look, I'll tell you guys. I'll be honest with you guys. When somebody is a good fighter, I'm going to give him credit. Nemkov and Corey are going to have a fight. We're going to find out who the best 205 pounder is in the world. Because if you guys want to compare this, like, look, what Corey said was true. And I'm not saying what Jan said wasn't true either.
It was true too.
Two things can be true.
Semi-true.
Jan says, hold up. So a guy who bolted from the UFC after I slept him and almost made him retire, got a couple of wins in the second league and claims he is the best. Maybe I've punched him too hard. No class in win or defeat Corey. There's levels to this. Corey comes back and laid down some truth as well. Let's not forget what happened to you the first time I left you looking like the Elephant Man, which is also true. And you posted, I need to go home and rethink my career. That is true as well. I got knocked out in the second fight. Lucky punch. That is not true.
I don't agree with that.
It's not a lucky punch.
Okay.
It's not a lucky punch. Look, you caught him. Jan's got power. We all know Jan's got power, and it can happen. That's part of the game. But I made you my broad for 15 minutes straight. Sorry, my light's in the way.
Nothing lucky about that.
And that's true. So you have to look at it from both sides. The lucky punch is not true. It happens. The technique was there. It landed clean, slept him. Cool. Okay. But I'm going to tell you from a fighter's perspective, and maybe John will agree with me. Maybe John won't. It is a lot harder to beat somebody up for 15 minutes, knowing the fight starts every round on the feet and knowing you got to be able to take this guy down every single time the fight starts on the feet. It's a lot harder to hold somebody down. It's a lot harder to make sure that you're able to deliver damage the way he did and made Jan look like the Elephant Man the way he did, okay, for 15 minutes. That is hard work. If Jan didn't have the answer, let's just say that second fight would have went past the first round and Corey got a takedown. How would that fight have been different? It wasn't different. It was, I think it ended in 3:38 of the first round is what it ended. Jan knocked him out in the first round. That's the fight game, you guys. But to sit here and say that Corey's a second tier fighter in the 205-pound division, it's just ridiculous. Look, he left. He was ranked number 4 in the world when he left the UFC. He asked for his release because he knew the UFC was not going to let him or not promote him anymore. I've been in that same situation. When Dana doesn't like you, he doesn't help you. Don't expect to be promoted. Don't expect to get into that next level because it's not going to happen. They're going to continue. Look what they did to John Fitch. What? 11 or 12 wins in a row, and they finally gave him a title shot. It was like, I get it. Maybe he wasn't the most exciting, but when you can't deny somebody that long, look at what they're doing to Leon Edwards right now. The same shit. And so like when they don't like a fighter, that's what's going to happen. They don't like the way that they fight. They don't like the style of which they fight, but all they do is collect W's. Then it's hard to keep denying them. Corey realized that it was never going to happen. They had actual real legitimate conversations with Corey Anderson saying, you need to change your style. Yep. If you don't change your style, you're not going to get a title shot. If that's what's going to happen, you hear that from the promotion and you're winning, you're beating people and you're beating them handily by just taking them down and grounding them out and doing those things. Keep doing what you're doing. He didn't do that, and it cost him that fight against Jan. And that's this. People are like, oh, well, Jan got better. Yes, Jan did get better. But I want to go back. Can you pull up Jan's record?
So has Corey Anderson.
And I'm not disagreeing with that. I believe Corey's gotten better as well because confidence is key for everyone. Okay, yeah. You get a couple wins, you start building up. But if you pull up Jan's record, when did he fight? Everyone's like, oh, well, he knocked out what's his name? Dominic Reyes.
He knocked out
Dominic Reyes. He knocked out Ronaldo Souza. Who else? So he beat Izzy. Izzy is coming up from 185. All he did was take Izzy down and do the top game. Okay, so he did that. Dominic Reyes coming off of the loss to John Jones. Let me explain to you guys. Okay, and I'm look, and this is not being biased. It's from a fighter's point of view. My own personal experience, not just with myself, but dealing with other fighters. When you get all the way to the title shot and then you lose, you go back and you start second guessing everything. What do I need to do to reinvent myself? What do I need to do to change myself to get back to that title shot? You don't really need to do a whole lot, but people start feeding on that, believing that they do need to do things. Dominic Reyes was not the same fighter after he lost to John Jones. No matter what people think and no matter what people say about him winning that fight or should have won that fight, I had Dominic winning that fight against John Jones. John, I don't know if you did or not.
Yes, I did.
A lot of other
First
people.
3 rounds.
A lot of other people had Dominic Reyes winning that fight too. But I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter what people had him winning or not. He lost the fight. And when he fought Jan, his mentality was not the same. He was not the same. Didn't have the same confidence when he got there.
He hasn't been the same fighter since.
He hasn't been the same fighter since. And that's what happens after you lose that title shot. You work so hard to get there. And when it doesn't come to fruition, you're not the same fighter. You need to reinvent yourself. Now, some fighters are able to come back and do it all over again. And that's very rare. That's very rare. Now, maybe Dominic Reyes will, but I'm not saying he will. Ronaldo Souza.
Jacare.
I was thinking, no. But that was at 205. That was at 205?
Yeah, he fought him at 205.
He fought him at 205. Okay. I was thinking of Thiago. That's why. I was like, I don't know why I had that the hammer on my anyways. But like those type of guys, like after they have lost at a title shot, they have to reinvent themselves and they're not the same fighter. And so to say that, oh, well, he beat him and Jan's a better fighter, he's gotten better since then. Jan's also getting a little bit older now too. And sure, he's the champion. Okay. But I continue to say that if this fight goes past the first round and Corey gets a takedown, Corey can win this fight easily. I'm not saying easily. Shouldn't say that.
No.
But I think the takedowns will come easier as the fight goes on. But if Jan can land that clean shot or Long could utilize his boxing and keep this fight on the feet, then he wins. But to say they're both 1-1, to say that one can smash the other, it's just not true. And that's the thing. I'm not batting for. I don't give a shit. It doesn't do me any good. This fight's never gonna fucking happen. So I'm not gonna. I'm just sitting here pleading my case, saying both fighters are really damn good. And if Corey can get the takedown, Corey wins. And if Jan can keep it on the feet and land those shots, Jan wins. But I also believe in a 5-round fight, the longer this fight goes, it favors Corey Anderson.
No doubt.
The one thing Corey Anderson has is a ton of fucking cardio. That guy's gas tank is unreal.
Enormous.
Unreal. So that was me in a nutshell, what I believe. And if you guys don't believe me, then that's fine. I understand where you guys are all coming from. You guys see those 3 little letters and you automatically believe in your mind that that's the best fighter. And I'm not that person, because guess what? I've seen that show, that promotion, those 3 little letters cut fighters. And then years later, those fighters came back and became champions there for multiple times. And one of them is Robbie Lawler. I remember hearing Robbie Lawler's always washed up. He's shit. He's this. Guess what? Came back, dominated, won the title, had some of the most epic fucking fights ever in UFC history. That lets you know that the UFC is not always right. They don't always have the best guys.
They have a
I can
champion
go on
right
about
now.
DC and
They
everyone.
cut. They have a champion right now that they cut. They cut Brandon Moreno. Moreno. They
that's
cut
true.
him.
Yeah, that's true. That's
He's
true.
He's a fun guy to watch. So look, here's the reality of this. They're both good fighters. Corey Anderson he's a stud, and Jan Blachowicz, he's a stud. They both have their elements where they're strong. They both have elements where you can say, this guy's got an advantage over you. But the truth of the matter is, yes, Jan knocked him out. Was it a lucky punch? Negative. That's not lucky. That's skill. It's timing. It's distance control. And it's accuracy. And he had all of those things. And that's why that punch landed where it did. And Corey did not do the right things to make sure that it did not land that way. And that's why he got the win. And he deserved it. Same as there's nothing lucky about what Corey did to Blachowicz in his first fight. He dominated him. He crushed him. He brought him down anytime he wanted, and he just ground and pound him into a 3-round decision. Now, that's not a knockout, but as he says, you know what? You go 15 minutes with somebody, and you control them, and you do with them as you wish throughout those 15 minutes. That's a dominating performance. That means that, you know what? There's no luck involved in that. That's skill. Both of them have skill. Both of them are great fighters, and both of them on any given night could beat the other guy. That's the way I look at it. And that's awesome. That's the way it's supposed to be. There are better, there's all kinds of things, and it's a better world in MMA when you have fighters from other organizations that are just as good as the organization that most people think is the best one in the UFC with the best talent and everything. Yeah. Great. But I can guarantee you, Dana would never take the chance of putting Corey Anderson against Jan Blachowicz again. He won't do it because he knows. Yeah. So, and that's not that Jan couldn't win that fight. I'm not saying that. Jan could. Scott Coker would take the chance because he doesn't have as much to lose. Dana's got more to lose with it because he is the big promotion. And I look at it, and Coker's right. And I'm telling you right now, I'm not sure Corey can beat Nemkov. Nemkov is good. I've watched him since he was an amateur. He is, and this is where you talk about progression. I've watched what he's done when he lost and how he learned about what he did in those losses to, a mistake. Most of it was his ability to control his cardio. And he still had that problem coming into Bellator. And he's fixed it. He's good. And people who say what they want, oh, he fought a guy he wasn't even supposed to fight. You're right. He was supposed to fight Rumble Johnson. Rumble wasn't able to make that fight based upon health issues. And they put in Anglixkis. Look, I'm just telling you right now, Anglixkis is a good fighter. I've said that from the beginning. I've said, he's got really good skills. He's a good wrestler. He's got very sharp boxing. He just wasn't prepared to fight a guy of the level of Nemkov with what he's done so far, because he's never taken that step. Now he has. Now he knows. And, things will change for him. But the whole Corey Anderson, Jan Blachowicz thing, it's great. I love it. I think it's awesome. I love what Jan said. I love what Corey said back. And let it go. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see if it ever happens, because I'd love to see it happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, though, John.
I don't think so.
But no, that's why I don't like to sit up here and talk about it. But I want to point out, look, I could care less whether they fight or not. But I want people to understand that just because you're not in the UFC, or just because UFC guys have left the UFC and went somewhere else, it doesn't mean they're shitty. That's the thing, is they still fight their asses off, and they're still really good. If you look back, like I said, with the Robbie Lawler situation, where they cut him because they're just like, oh, he's garbage, like he's done, he doesn't want to do this anymore. Then he went to Pride, got some wins there. Then he went to Elite XC, got some wins there. Then he came to Strikeforce, was the champion there. Then he went to the UFC and fucking was a badass champion there. Fought the guys that were fucking he fought everyone. He's a dog, man. He's one of my all-time favorite fighters, Robbie Lawler is. Yep. Not to mention just one of my all-time favorite people. So when you're talking about him, then T Wood, people criticize T Wood's garbage in Strikeforce. He got destroyed by Marquardt, blah, blah, blah. Then he comes back and becomes champion.
He did get beat by Marquardt. That happens.
Yeah, he did.
It's a fight.
Yes. It's a fight and it happens.
It's a fight.
But then he comes in and becomes the champion there. And it's so funny because I was hearing everyone talk about how, oh man, Luke Rockhold will never be champion in the UFC. Look, Anderson Silva would destroy him. Weidman, these guys. And then look what happened. And then look what happened, and then when they talked about DC, it was the same shit. He's too small. The heavyweights here would just Strikeforce had the better heavyweights at the time. They made up the UFC's heavyweight division when they came over. They had the better heavyweights. They were the better organization that had the best heavyweights. Remember they got rid of Verdum, and then Verdum came back and became champion, who beat one of my fucking best friends in Cain Velasquez, and I'm like, this guy, I didn't think he was going to beat Cain. I was like, there's no way he's going to beat Cain. Cain's going to stuff everything, keep it on the feet, knock him out. I was like, for sure. And he was in the same promotion, became the champion. They had cut him before that, and so you guys, you have to look at the actual fighter themselves and say, this fighter is really damn good at the way that they fight.
You are not going to get people to do that, because most people, it's marketing. It's, hey, I'm told this, and then I watch and it's great, so this has got to be the best. And a lot of times it is. And all I can tell you is this, for everyone out there, I traveled the world working MMA events. And a lot of the events I worked, there was not any good fighters at. Nobody that I would have said, hey, that guy's going to be something. But there was a lot that I worked, and I said, dude, that guy can compete with anybody. Yeah. That guy's a stud. Yeah. And it was just a matter of time. And some of them are guys like a Khabib Nurmagomedov and all of those people. I saw him early, and everyone say, oh, no, he's just a wrestler. No, he's a stud. And every time I watch him fight, he dominates people. Yep. And there's other guys out there, and they're coming, and they have been coming. And, this is where you're seeing, the wave of Dagestani fighters and stuff. I've been watching them for a long time. The Peter Yans out there, the Magomedovs. These people can fight, and they can fight against anyone. It does not matter who their promoter is.
Yeah, you guys have to look at this. And here's another. I'll give you another example because you just brought it up. Well, Peter Yan has a win over Magomedov. Magomedov has a win over Peter Yan. Guess who just beat Magomedov? Rafian Stotts. And he beat him a lot easier than Peter Yan did.
Peter Yan did.
He stuffed everything, got on top, dominated the top positions, got takedowns, didn't get taken down. He made it look easy compared to what Peter Yan did to him. And I know they've both have gotten better since then. But sure. Rafian Stotts is another one you guys got to keep your eye on. When they're talking about doing the bantamweight tournament for Bellator, I'm looking at Rafian Stotts going low. I'm thinking to myself, I just thought about this last night to myself. I'm like sitting there going, this dude might win the whole damn thing.
Damn straight.
I'm trying to think of who could potentially beat him, speed wise, wrestling wise, and stand up wise out of that Rufus camp. I mean, realistically, I'm thinking like maybe Horiguchi because he's got some speed as well. I just don't know if he's going to be able to get him down. He's a good wrestler. He's a good anti-wrestler, a good takedown artist. He's got speed. He's got it all.
Got pop in his hand.
Rafael Stotts is going to be a freaking problem. Just like Usman said about us, I'm a problem. Well, guess what? Rafael Stotts is a problem for all those guys at 135. And so when I'm looking at all those, he just beat Magomedov. Who else? Pettis. Well, they're teammates, so they're probably going to try to be on the opposite ends of the brackets. But I mean, like Stotts and Juan Archuleta, they've got Stotts and you got Patchy Mix, you got Gallagher, you've got who else? Josh Hill, you've got
Lugo.
Yeah, Lugo, Jornal Lugo.
My God.
You're talking about the other, who's the champ, the former champion or the
Caldwell.
champion? Yeah, you got the ex-champ Caldwell, but you also got the rising champion who's potentially going to come over and enter in the tournament as well. There's talk of that possibly happening. You're going to have 15 to 16 top-level guys possibly in this tournament, and it's going to be the who's who from from other organizations. You know, who knows? You might even, hint, you might even see somebody from one in there. You never know. You never know. That's because you're willing to take a chance. You might as well. Who knows? There's no, like, you'd rather see the best fighter fight. All these guys to see them fight. If that happens, that would be great, man. I would love to see it.
Could you imagine if the UFC put their guys and it was all, you could have a 32. Yeah. It would be awesome.
Oh, but I'm saying, but the UFC's got a stacked division too. I mean, they've got 600 fighters. Bellator only has 300. I don't know how many one has. I don't know how many PFL has. But you've got you've got top level guys in a lot of organizations. You know, I'd like to see a Lance Palmer. I'd like to see one of those guys, you know, some of those guys from PFL come over as well and join in the tournament, you know? But look, overall, my point was, and I'm definitely not trying to be a homer. I'm not a homer in this situation. I'm talking about you guys just watching the level of the fighter and saying, holy shit, that guy is really good. Because if I give you another example, it would be Yaroslav Amosov. He's 26-0. He's got the best record in MMA. But then you look at if you look at Lima and you look at Roy McDonald, both good fighters. Roy, when he left the UFC, was still ranked in the top 6 or 7 like that. He beats Lima. Lima fixes his problems, beats Rory. The two of them go back and forth. Great stuff. Whatever. Yaroslav Amosov beat Douglas Lima badly. It wasn't even close. I was shocked on how easy that fight was. You take someone like him who can wrestle, who can out wrestle someone like a Logan Storley, who's one of the best wrestlers in the game right now, and everyone out of Sanford MMA, whether it's Usman or anybody else out of that camp, has said Logan Storley's hands down the best wrestler in the whole gym. And that being said, and Yaroslav Amosov was able to out wrestle him in position. They scrambled position on the feet, was able to outstrike him, but it was a close fight. It was a really close fight.
Yep.
That right there lets you know how damn good Yaroslav Amosov is. Now, we can talk about all the other fighters as well, but I'm saying I'm giving you guys these feeds. These are fighters to look out for. Watch them, see how they progress, see how well they do, criticize them when they do badly, and pick apart what they do. But when they fight well, give them credit for that. I'm sorry, but I cannot give credit to Yaroslav Amosov for him, the way he handled Douglas Lima. And I'm a huge fan of Douglas Lima. He's an outstanding person and a great fucking fighter. But you match him up against any of those other guys in that division, I think he walks right through. And I'm an MVP fan. I think he beats MVP. If you pulled up the 170-pound rankings in Bellator, I don't know who's going to beat Yaroslav Amosov until I think someone like Logan Storley comes back down and gets back to the title shot position. If you pull up the rankings, where are we at? 170. But I don't think Page beats him unless Page is able to catch him on the come in, you know, and which can be done, like we talked about with Jan and Corey. Douglas Lima has proven like maybe he can make some adjustments to make it a closer fight, but it wasn't close at all. Jason Jackson will give him fits. Jason Jackson is tall, long, and lanky. He's got the long jab. He's got good kicks. He's got great takedown defense because he's got the wide base against the fence. But the one thing that Amosov does, he does takedowns in the open mat as well, not just against the fence. And that's where Jason Jackson does a lot of his takedown defense.
The guy that thinks he's going to do well against Amosov, a guy named Neiman Gracie.
Yeah.
And people say what they want with the name Gracie. Everyone's, there's no good Gracie. Neiman Gracie is the best
He's good
fighter out of the Gracie family in MMA I've ever seen.
Yep.
He is good.
He's good. He's good. He's getting better on the feet. Now that he's with King's MMA, he's out of there, and now he's training there. He's loving it there. He's learning a lot from those guys, Gastelum and Vittori and all the other guys that are in that gym. He's learning a lot. It's not to mention the coach, you know. And then Logan Storley is number 5. He's relatively young in the sport. He's 12-1. His only loss is to the champ. So there's guys that I want you guys to keep an eye out for and be like, hey, that guy performed. He had a shitty performance, cool. Or he had a great performance, cool. The guy that I really, honestly, out of all of them though, that I'm the highest on, I just wish he could figure out what's going on with him, is Joey fucking Davis. That kid is a stud, an absolute stud. I just wish he could. I don't know. I know what's going on, but I'm not gonna. Just want him to get. I want him to get back in the game, get with this, and he has such high levels of just ability, man. It's just unbelievable.
He has an incredible ability, but
yes, he does.
Sometimes the guys that have the greatest ability never turn out to be the guys that become champions, and there's all kinds of reasons why. And I'm not going to get into it.
Champion in wrestling.
Exactly, he was. Yeah.
So,
133-0 in his collegiate career. So, but unfortunately, right now he's got other things he's going to have to deal with, and hopefully he can come back, get everything straightened out, take care of himself, feel good, and come back to fighting.
He's still young. I think he's 27, somewhere around there, 26, 27, maybe 28 now. But anyways, there's guys in there. Look, I'm really just talking about guys, and there's guys in the UFC as well. If we pull up their rankings, I could go through and be like, this guy's a stud, this guy's a stud, this female's a stud. These are people that I feel like, hey, these are the people that we feel like can make a growth in this sport that people need to just keep an eye out for. And I've said it forever, and I know maybe it sounds even more like a homer. It was Umar Nurmagomedov. I was talking about him when he was fucking 18, 19 years old, coming in the gym.
Umar's
I'm like, damn, who is this kid?
I watched Umar in Russia. I said, who is that kid? They go, oh, that's Nurmagomedov. I go, thank you.
I was baffled by the fact that he was so young. I'm like, how old are you? He's like, oh, I think he had just turned 19. I'm like, you're not even 21 yet. How are you this damn good? Like, his takedown defense was good. His striking was better than his grappling, his jiu-jitsu. But he was a sponge. He's someone that just sat me down. Was like, he called me coach, or he called me old man.
How do you do this? Coach. Yeah, of course, man. Coach, how do you do this?
My English not so good. What? I don't understand. But he was a sponge. And the same thing about Islam Makhachev. Everyone kept saying like, oh, because he got knocked out. I'm like, no, you guys don't get it. He's good. Like, he lost that one fight. He's got one fucking loss. Calm down, you guys. And that's the thing. Like, now he's making his run. I said this years ago, how damn good he was. It's like when I say I see a talent, I see a talent. And the talent ends up being pretty damn good. And I'm not going to say that about a lot of people, but there's a lot of young talent in all these sports and all these promotions that are very good. Just when we speak about these guys, it's because like John's seen way more fights than I have, because you're way freaking older. But you're way older.
Okay, look at that. You got another thing right.
Yeah. But then I want people to understand though too, like a lot of these guys, when we talk about I don't know them, the reason I don't know them is because I was in the back warming up while they were fighting. John was out there reffing their fight. So that's why John's seen a ton more fights than a lot of other people have realized. Oh, look, I've ranted on long enough, John. John's probably getting tired. He's like, I'm sleeping. You're exhausting this conversation.
Good.
So
it's all good.
Let's move on. What's next there,
Dave? What's next?
All right. Whew, man.
Shit, I know.
We're gonna hop into some fan questions. So let's kick this thing off. The first question comes from Agent Active, who says, on Reddit and Twitter, fans always seem to bash the production values of Bellator. I like how it's different, but sometimes the gap between fights can be kind of long. Is the gap between fights determined by how long the previous fight went, or does Bellator have to fill a certain amount of airtime? Does Bellator have to fill a certain amount of airtime?
Go ahead, John.
No, say that again. I'm sorry. I swear to God, I'm confused in what the question is.
The question is there's a lot of gaps. There's like longer gaps between fights, which I think is not true from the UFC to the Bellator. But there is time gaps between, because there is time that they want to try to stretch. They want to utilize the amount of, like for the UFC, they want to utilize the amount of pay-per-view that they have. They're not just going to rush through it. They have advertisements they have to fit in as well between fights. They also don't want people to see like, oh, here's 5 fights. They all happen so fast. You've only been watching for an hour and a half. You feel like
I only got an hour and a half worth of my money. That's right.
Yes. So they have learned over the years to kind of stretch it as much as they can. 2.5 hours. I think the last UFC was only about 2.5 hours, I believe, something like that. And then Bellator, we did the same thing. I think in Arizona we got done a little early because it was like 9:30. I think we finished up. for that last card in Arizona. So they've got sponsors they've got to fit in. Where they run into problems sometimes is in the prelims, because you don't know how fast the prelims are going to go, because the fighters are relatively not new, but they just don't have the experience of the main card fighters. And the main card fighters, you can kind of judge how long the fights will go. This fight's going to give you 2 rounds. This fight's going to give you 1 round. This fight's going to give you all 3. This fight's going to give you all 3. This is going to go all 5, whatever it is. But in the prelims, you're really taking a guess. I'm like, here, I'll give you, even though it was on the first fight on the main card, was the Parrish and Christian Edwards fight. There was no way any of us ever saw that fight going in the first round, in the first 2 minutes. I mean, that was 1:30, I think it was. In that
Oh no,
fight,
it was 38
seconds. Was it 38 seconds? Okay, I had the 30 in there somewhere. But yeah, we just do the best you can to kind of to see how much time is going to run for each fight. But overall, they've got a certain amount of advertisements they got to hit in there. They've got a certain amount of previews that they've done for what do we call them? We call them things that we help to promote the next level.
Let's make this as easy as we can for you guys. Every promotion that puts their stuff on TV, the UFC and Bellator we'll talk about, they have what's called a production sheet. And in that, and I can tell you that in the early days of Zuffa, they didn't believe in a production sheet because everything was going to be fine. And then when you go over the pay-per-view time, the pay-per-view cuts off and your show, people get their money back. And that happened at UFC 33 when Dana lost his mind because he didn't realize that they didn't have a production sheet. So from that point on,
that was the first fight that had 3 title fights, correct?
3 title fights, and all of them went to 5 rounds.
Yeah.
And it was not good for the UFC. So they learned a lesson from it. So everything is done on a production sheet. So they'll make these sheets where they script everything out, but they've got to script the fights out for the distance that they are scheduled for. As far as it's a 3-round fight, they're going to give 18 minutes of time basically, because they'll give the minute breaks, and then they'll try to do a 1 minute with the reading of the winner or something like that, even though it usually takes longer. But that's what they'll put in there. Then they'll put all those times, and they'll script it out, for depending upon how much time they have on the broadcast, 2.5 hours, 3 hours of time, something like that. And then they follow it. But when the fights go fast, if you have a fight that ends at 2 minutes of the first round, they have scripted out an additional 13 minutes or more of time, 15 minutes more of time. And so they try to fill, and both the UFC does it and Bellator does it, and they'll fill it in with areas. Sometimes they'll put on a preliminary fight to show you a preliminary fight that took place, because they have a preliminary fight that'll fit in there well. But they're all the same. To sit there and say, the UFC takes more time than Bellator, or Bellator takes more time in between. No, they don't. They're all scripted out the same way, and it's done the same way. Just honest.
So you're saying is they all copied Vince McMahon. Next question from
Vince McMahon knows when his is ending.
Next question from Jeff Wady. For Josh, can you explain the advantages and disadvantages of being near the cage while in top position during ground control? It seems like some fighters like to take their opponent down in the middle of the mat, while others prefer to work against the fence. Which did you prefer? #andstill.
All right. Well, okay. So let me preface this in saying, in the beginning of when I started fighting, people wanted to take you down against the cage because that was easier to control you against the cage. But as the sport has evolved and developed into how to defend takedowns against the cage, it is now harder to get the takedown against the cage, as well as it's easier for the fighter to sometimes get up against the cage. Using that wall is using that cage as like a third leg, to lean on, to not have to worry, having like that extra base, something to just carry your weight on. You could drive into me, but now I just lean against the fence because it's just holding me up. So as of now, I prefer to get takedowns in the middle of the cage. If you can do it right in the middle, then you just got to make sure that you understand how to do the ground and pound without them moving away and sliding away, which is a little harder than people think on the canvas. They don't just slide away. When I fought in Strikeforce, they had vinyl. And so keeping them against the cage was better, because if you had them out in the open, they would slide 2-3 feet away when you postured up. They'd go to they'd try to do like a scissor sweep or something like that. They could actually when they went to the scissor position, they could actually just use their shins to kick away from you, and they'd get 2-3 feet away, and they'd get up to their feet. As they moved, and then when we went to Bellator, went to the UFC, they had canvas. So now that they have canvas, it's harder to actually just slide away and get back to your feet. So having you out in the open is a little bit better versus when it was Strikeforce and some other promotions that before used to use vinyl, and the vinyl would get sweaty and guys would slip and fall and guys would slide away 2-3 feet. And if you got to take down the guy, sometimes when he landed, he was all sweaty, he'd slide away from you as you were landing on top of him. And so taking him down against the cage was more beneficial than trying to take him down in the open mat. So now I think it's evolved to where everyone now should be trying to get the takedowns or bouncing them off the cage and turning them back to the middle so then they can't use the cage to get up. That's kind of been the new thing as well.
Anytime you look at the cage, you don't have 180 degrees of balance, but you have a good, say 90 degrees of balance, because everything that guy pushes into you, the cage is going to keep you there. It's when they're able to take you off towards that 180 degree left or right or anything behind you. That's where you're going to get your takedowns when someone's against the cage most of the time, unless they're able to all of a sudden drop levels, get their hands locked and pull your legs out. But, you know, when you're looking at, whenever you're watching a fight and you're seeing someone take somebody down, you're going to be able to tell what the person who's doing the takedown wants to do, what their main focus is, by how they go about either changing and improving position, we'll say, as far as moving from the guard to a half guard, sometimes the side control, then try to go to mount. A lot of guys will do that, setting up their submission game or something like that. Or if they're the guy that likes to stay in the guard, and a lot of guys do, they like to stay in guard or half guard and pound people out from that position because they're very good at what we call following the hips. When the guy turns his hips and tries to move himself to get a little bit of space, get a knee inside, that person crushes that space and squares their hips up and then just repeats what they were doing before. When you're watching guys on top, watch where their head is at. If their head is in the sternum area or chest area of their opponent, they're not doing anything that's going to win them the fight from that position. But when they bring their head up over close to the same level or even sometimes above the level of their opponent, now they can do a lot of heavy damage, and they're not easy to be hit. As far as the guy on the bottom, now punching him, it doesn't work the same. It's not as easy. It's easier when his head is down here and you want to elbow or punch. So there's a lot of positions that you can look at. But the guy in the top position, they're the one putting the fight where they want, so that they should be leading the fight towards either a finish or whatever they, submission or pound them out. That's what they're looking for. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Only to us, I think.
Next. I know.
Goldoth asks, love watching your show. Keep them coming and rocking. If you had a beer with Stipe Miocic and he asked what is my next move to get the most out of my remaining contract, what would you say? Keep in mind he ain't gonna go Conor McGregor all of a sudden on the media. Much love to all three of you.
Pull up the rankings in the heavyweights.
Here you go.
It's got to be number two. Yep.
Yeah.
Real serious. The first thing I would ask him is, what is it that's important to you?
Yeah.
That's the first question I would ask him. Stipe, you got to tell me, what is it that is important to you? Is money the most important thing to you? Is your career and the legend that you leave behind, is that the most important to you? Is it being able to fight in front of your fans and people that, your family being able to go to your fights and things like that? Is that the most important? Because all of those elements are things to be considered. If you're talking about money, there's money to be made outside of the UFC for Stipe, that he would make more money probably fighting in a certain organization than he would for the UFC right now. He doesn't have, being number two, he's not getting pay-per-view numbers. He's not getting any of that stuff. And so his pay as the ex-champion is a lot less than what it was when he was, holding on to the belt. So he's in a position where, he's got to figure out what is the thing that's motivating him, what's important to him, and that's the direction you would start to tell him to go.
Well, I mean, I really believe he has a case. If Gon beats Ngannou, I think he's got a case to have a title shot.
He does.
I know he's coming off a loss, but like the guy that beat me is gone. He lost in his first title defense, and I know I'm coming off loss, but I'm the most long-standing heavyweight champ you've ever had. You know, I deserve that, and it was. I know he got finished in that fight against Ngannou, but Gon doesn't have the same power. I think he's got power, but he don't have the same power as Ngannou.
Well, he's not going to out Russell. He's not going to out Russell Stipe.
Yeah, and
so he's got to pick Stipe apart from the outside. It's not going to be easy to do.
No, and that fight makes a lot of sense. That fight, I mean, I would love to see that fight. Let's see if the young stud can get past the old grizzly veteran, and put Stipe right back into that mix. But then Ngannou's going to have to get a win over someone, or whatever, make his run back. Until these guys, and maybe like you have Curtis Blades, you've got Volkov. I mean, I'm waiting for this Tom Aspinall guy to make his run, man. He's on his way up. So,
but
he's looking good.
If you look at the UFC's heavyweight division, and this is just in all honesty, as you look at it, you don't have a whole lot of guys that are real happy where they're at. Okay, and just being honest, and this is in talking with certain people and things, there's a whole lot of guys that are not happy being there. They're not happy with the way they're being treated. They don't believe that, that they're given the due that they deserve, all these different things. And so right now, that's a division that it's in a little bit of turmoil. It's got a really good fight coming up between Ngannou and Gon, but it's not there's a lot of instability in that division.
Yeah, but John, you're going to have that in every promotion. We've got a little bit of that. We have a little.
Absolutely.
We have a little bit of that going on in Bellator
I'm not saying
as
it's
well.
because it's the UFC. I'm saying it's because of the way the promotion has actually dealt with certain scenarios and people wanting more money and all the things that are happening,
Yeah, but that's going to happen in every promotion. Fighters are a bunch of fucking crybabies. Let's just be honest. We cry about every little thing when we're starting to make our run to the title. Like once things start going good, we expect the promotion just to jump through hoops to make us happy. It don't work that way. Okay. I mean, I've learned silently from the outside that that's not how it works. As I made my runs and you want to get a little bit bigger in the britches. Well, guess what? The promotion don't give a shit. Like you have a contract, you honor that contract, keep winning, and we'll talk about more money later on. And that's kind of where, like, remember when everyone thought I was getting on Stipe? Well, where are you at right now? Well, just fight, man. I believe like in this situation, he should wait and to see who wins this title shot. And if the Gon wins, I think he should ask for another title shot. If Gon loses, I think he's gonna have to fight somebody. He's gonna have to fight a Derek Lewis or a Curtis Blades or somebody else or a Rosenstruck. He's going to have to fight someone to get another title shot if Ngannou wins. Yeah. So if he doesn't win, though, and Gon wins, I think it'd be perfect matchup for Stipe and him to get in there. That's it. That's the only way I see this really thing playing out. Like I said, I'm waiting for this Tom Aspinall. Like when I was talking about you guys earlier, I said, hey, there's young fighters, there's young talented fighters that I talk highly of, and I think that after looking at the style of which they fight, keep an eye out on. This is one of them. I think Tom Aspinall is like one of those guys that people should keep an eye out on, and watch the growth of what he does from here on out. Cause he seems phenomenal. He seems like, don't get me wrong. I've been wrong on some of these guys, but he seems phenomenal. He seems like he's got his stuff about him and he's trying to slow play it. He's waiting until he gets paid more money. He's doing all the right things. He knows he's got to grow as a fighter. Those are things you want to hear from the young talented fighters. And he seems to be doing everything on the right track.
Not in a hurry.
Question? No.
Next question from Sam Lapa, who asks, many of the UFC fighters, especially female fighters, are struggling financially. Why don't UFC offer ringer jobs to female fighters and assist them in extra income to help with their situation? What's your take on that? Thank you.
Why doesn't the UFC offer what?
Ring card girls. Offer them a job as a ring card girl.
Oh, stop. Jesus Christ. Are you fucking kidding me? You actually wrote that? You think that a fighter wants to be a ring card girl? Jesus Christ, man. A little respect towards, unbelievable. I'm sorry. John. Fucking stupid.
I agree. I wouldn't put it that way.
I would. How
the
disrespectful are you to believe that just because someone is a female they want to be a ring card girl. Now, I'm not saying anything wrong about ring card girls. I stood up for them before, because if that's what you want to be, great. But because you're a good-looking girl and you can fight, you'd want to be a ring card girl?
No,
Well,
but John, he's saying for the extra money, because not a lot of them are making enough
money.
money.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid. For the extra money.
But if it's an easy gig to offer, the UFC can offer it though, and it's an easy gig. Is
it an easy gig? Do you do it, Dave?
Yeah, I want to see Dave get up there.
Yeah.
Ta-dun-ta-duns. Come on, Dave. Get up there. Ta-dun-ta-dun.
I mean, what is 90% of the audience male or female? Because if it's male, then I'm not gonna.
First off,
have a whole lot
that's
of
a dumb question, and you're a dumb person for putting that dumb question on our podcast.
All right, next.
All right, next question. This question comes from Will Schwing. Question for both: has there been a better Superman punch knockout in your opinion, other than Hisaki Kato versus Joe Schilling at Bellator 139? #and still.
That was a great one.
Yeah, it was good. I've never seen one.
For whatever reason it was, Kato had Joe Schilling's number. He was took him on in MMA, and that was Joe taking Kato on in MMA, and he had that beautiful Superman punch knockout win. It starched Joe. And then they had a rematch in kickboxing, and Joe was doing really well until there was a spinning back fist by Kato, and that knocked Schilling out too. So Kato had Schilling's number. That was one of the best knockouts with a Superman punch that I've ever seen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll agree with you.
I agree. Yep. I can't think of another one, so yeah, I think it's the best.
Next question from Fraser T. Why do you guys think they haven't done Dominic Cruz versus Aldo yet? Both coming off a win and from the same point in their careers while still up there in the rankings. Thanks.
My personal opinion is that I think Jose Aldo has the potential to still make another title run. I don't think Dominic Cruz does. And so I don't think that I think the UFC stays away from things like that. They're like, okay, look, we have two legends. One of them, let's match them up against people that we think potentially they can make a little bit of a run in. I don't think if you pull up the rankings, can you scroll down? Let me see this. I don't think Dom's going to be able to get up into that next level. And I'm a huge Dom fan in terms of his being a fighter. Yep. So when I'm looking at where is Dom?
But Dom has said
there it is.
He doesn't want to fight Aldo. He said there's no reason for me to fight Aldo. So he's already put it out there. That's not a fight I'm even interested in. So I think that's part of it.
Yeah. I'd like to see the Dominic Cruz and Frankie Yeager fight. That's what I'd like to see. That's my personal. in terms of the old dogs, I'd like to see that fight happen. But I think Aldo's still got a little bit left in the tank. I mean, he's still young. What is he, like 32?
Look at his last fight against Munoz. He looked fantastic.
Yeah, he looked good. He started kicking again, which is impressive.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So it's funny how that shit changes the game, huh? A couple of kicks, and everyone's like, "Oh shit!" Yeah, he's got his hands full though with Rob Font.
Yep.
Well, speed's gonna be a factor, I think. But all right, I don't know. I wouldn't suggest why they would. If Dom doesn't want to fight him, that's probably why. That's been good.
That's a big reason.
If I was Dom, I wouldn't want to fight him either. It's like he's good, man. He's still got a lot. He's still got left in the tank. What's next?
Next question from Evan. Thoughts on Cater going up to 155 if he loses against Giga? What about a first lightweight fight against Tony Ferguson?
Wow, what is it? You don't like Calvin Cater? Man. At 155, Calvin Cater would he's got a frame that he could go up to that weight, and I think he would do well still. But the power translation is going to be a little bit different. He had some nice knockouts as a featherweight that are not going to happen as a lightweight. Guys are going to have just that little bit of extra weight, that little bit of extra strength. The speed will work for him. Look, Calvin Cater's a good fighter, and so he'd be good anywhere. Could he beat Tony? He could not beat Tony if Tony got him to the ground. He could beat Tony if he could keep the fight on the feet. He's got the stand-up ability to beat Tony in the stand-up. I think he's quicker. I think he's got a more fluid and more technically sound stand-up game than Tony. But if it hits the ground, he does not have the ground game, in my opinion, that he would be able to stay safe against Tony for a full 15-minute fight.
My thoughts on him going to 55, I think, is no. Just stay at 45. Figure out what's wrong with your game. I don't really think he's going to lose to Giga. I think he can beat Giga because if he threatens to take down a little bit, it'll change the way Giga fights. Giga's not going to be able to stop a whole lot of takedowns. That was like you said against Barboza. You knew there was no takedowns.
Yeah.
Like you knew Barboza was going to shoot on him, so he could just let his shit fly from a kickboxing stance. But Cater, he can threaten a takedown or two.
He can get a takedown.
And if he does that, Giga's gonna have a hard time. He won't be the same fighter after 1 or 2 takedowns because it does zap the energy trying to defend the takedowns and then trying to get back up and the weight of the fighter on top of you. All of those things play a huge factor on how your output is when you get back to your feet. One of the hardest drills to do in training for MMA is to work on getting back up and then circling off the fence and then letting your hands go. So when you're training with your coaches, right, or you're training with your teammates, we do the wall escape. You get back up to your feet. You're able to fight it off, but it takes, a good minute, maybe 45 seconds to a minute 20 to get up to your feet. And then you finally are able to circle off. And now you got to let your hands fly. It doesn't happen like that.
Feels like lead.
It's horrible. Yeah, just everything's heavy. It's not you're not the same fighter you were before you got taken down. So I think Cater at 50 or 45 is good. Just keep him there. I don't know how much weight he cuts, but he looks phenomenal at the weight. He doesn't look like he's sucked in too much. People want to try to insert him in other places, and then what you want to do is you want to match him up against someone who's on the downhill. Let's not do that. That's like one of those things that, you couldn't beat that guy because of this, this, and this. Well, because fucking I was older, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, you're not the same. If you go back and watch my fights when I was like 29, 31, 32, whatever it was, I looked a lot better than I looked when I was 38, 37, 38, 39. You know what I mean? You look different. So let's not match up these young studs against these older guys and just pretend like, it's the same thing because he's a legend in the sport. Let's not do that shit. It just doesn't work that way. Next one.
Corbin Hopkins asks, besides Henry, who do you think there's any other fighters, past or present, who could be 3-division champions? If Jose Aldo could have made 135 when he first got in the UFC, I think he could have.
Three division champion, that's going to be tough.
But where else would he have been champion then at 135? Where does he go after that? 125?
He'd have to go to 155.
Yeah.
I don't think he would be able to make it there.
No, I don't think he would have been. The guys were getting big at that time. If he went to 155, they were getting bigger. So he's not a big 50. He wasn't a big 45 pounder. That's why he made 35. He was at one time was a bigger 45 pounder.
At one time he was bigger.
Yeah, he wasn't that. But you look at the 55 pounders as the sport started evolving, they got bigger. I don't think it was him. I'm not saying that Henry would beat Volk. I just think stylistically he matches up well with him. The speed factor is there. The power goes to Volk, but the wrestling goes to Henry. The submission defense, all that shit will go to Henry, but the submission attempts will go to Volk. Can Volk stay off of his back? And
after watching Volkanovski with his submission defense, Henry ain't submitting him.
No, I didn't say that. No. Henry with the submission defense though. I think Henry would be able to survive the grappling portion of not getting submitted. I also think that Volkanovski could attack a lot. I don't know if he'd be able to get a submission, but I think he'd be more of the guy off of his back having to fight for submissions. That's what I would think. I mean, he'd probably be able to get up to his feet, but Henry, he can fucking wrestle the best of them in the world. Insane. And so the transitions are there. The speed of the takedown is there. The speed of the hands I give to Henry, but the power I give to Volk. So, I mean, it just makes for a good fight. It makes stylistically for a fun fight. I would lean more towards Volk just because of the overall size. But, yeah, Henry can do it.
But he's not saying that. He's saying who else besides Henry. And I'm being honest, there was only one guy that I could have said possibly could have done it, and that was because he was crazy. And he would fight anybody, and it was Dan Henderson.
Lightning Lee Murray. Go ahead.
Dan Henderson won the middleweight, won the light heavyweight title in Pride, and later on, he beat Fedor. So, there's a guy that could have been in that position, but 3 weight categories, it's like that's just an unusual person that could be able to do all of that.
Yeah, I think if they eventually change it to every 10 pounds until you hit to 185, I think you could have the chance of someone doing it from 55, 70 to, not to 85, sorry, 45, 55 to 70. I think you have someone do it in that mix. Or what Henry's doing, 25, 35, 45. I think you'd have someone do it in that mix.
Well, St. Pierre would have been the other guy that possibly, because he did it at 85, he did it at 70. Could he have gone down to 155? It's a long drop, but if it was at 165, he could have.
Yeah. That's
Who
true.
knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
All right. Next.
Next question from Bogo Sports. What does it feel like to be rocked by a punch? I've always wanted to know without getting rocked by a punch.
I will tell
There's
you
a bunch of different ways.
This is it depends. Everything is different. But if you get hit with a solid shot and it does what I call it buzzes you. And you're going to get this buzzing that kind of goes down your spine and into your legs and stuff, and you'll see like a flash, and you'll know, oh, I got hit, and you'll try to move fluidly. Sometimes you will, and sometimes you won't, and you'll take steps that your body is not caught up with your brain, or your brain is not caught up with your body, and that's where you start to stumble a little bit. It doesn't mean you'll fall, but I call it the buzz, and you'll get this like electrical buzz, like you're getting. It's not like being tased, since I've been tased too many times, but it's that same type of feeling. You get this buzz going down your spine. Sound about right?
Yeah, but I feel like there's different ways also. Like there's that flash of light, you get the buzz, but then like you said, you go to move. Sometimes your feet don't move at all. Like you feel like you're moving, but nothing moves. You're stoned. I call it being stoned. Yeah. Like you get stoned. Like you get stuck in one spot. You're like, oh shit. And then you zap out of it probably like a second later. But you're like, you go to move and you're like, fuck, I can't move. And then like you wake up a second, you're like, oh shit, I can move now.
And it feels like it was a lot of time too. But it's
it does. And then there's the when you get rocked and like John said, like you do the stanky leg, like I call it like on stilts. You do that Zab Judah position, when you get rocked and one leg goes stiff, or what's his name? Kevin Lee. That type of stuff. He gets the wobbly, everything gets all wobbly, but he fights through it. There's a lot of different ways of getting rocked. I've seen guys get rocked and just kind of turtle up and just be able to cover up and still just hang out there. But it goes with the flash. Sometimes you just get the flash and that's it. And sometimes you get the buzz and sometimes you get the stone. So it really depends. They're all different. The one
thing I will tell you is it doesn't hurt.
No.
At that time, doesn't hurt at all. Now, a body shot that puts you down, it hurts.
They don't even have to put you down.
You'll get hit by that body shot, and that was a good shot. And then all of a sudden, it's like a second and a half later, your body starts just shutting down. That's a horrible feeling. It hurts.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't even have to be put down to realize how damn much it hurts. Next.
Next question from Luis Felipe Salazar. Question for Big John. I just want to know what was your experience leading to UFC 9 and if the rule set changed the way you refereed the event.
Yeah, it was completely different. Did the experience of UFC 9 change anything? It changed everything. Like UFC 9 was going to be in Detroit, Michigan. We ended up going to court early there. Then I ended up in court late. We ended up in court even on the day of the fight. And the judge of that case determined that there was two things that reminded him of, because the state was trying to use boxing as their, hey, this is prize fighting. Boxing is prize fighting. This is prize fighting. This is the same. It has to be under the State Athletic Commission's purview. And the judge, in all of his infinite wisdom, came up with two things that reminded him of boxing from what we were doing in the UFC and mixed martial arts at the time. And that was punches with a closed hand and headbutts. That was the two things that he came up with. So basically what he did is he said, look, these are the two things. So if you take away these two things and make them illegal, then they don't have a case. So the guy who was the owner of the UFC, Bob Meyerowitz at the time, said, He goes, I'll make those illegal. And I looked at him like, are you shitting me? And he goes, absolutely, we'll make those illegal. He goes, no problem, case closed. Boom. And he hits the thing and we're out. And I'm looking at Bob Myers and I'm going, what in the fuck are you talking about? He goes, you're going to make those illegal. No headbutts and no punches. He goes, and if someone does it, you're going to tell them that's a foul. He says, and when they have to pay for that foul, God only knows. So that was what he wanted me to go in the back and tell the fighter. So I did. I went back there and I said, look, due to this, punches with a closed fist, headbutts, those are fouls. So if you do it, you're going to hear me say, that's a foul. I said, and then if you do it again, I'm going to say, we're going to take money from you. That's a foul. That's a foul. I said, but nothing's going to ever come of it, and you're never going to have to pay for that foul. Do you understand what I'm saying? And they go, yep. Now, there was one guy, Ken Shamrock, who said, John, I can't do that. And I said, I'm not telling you what you can do. He goes, you want me to go out there and break the rules? I said, I don't want you to go break the rules. I'm just telling you what the rules are. You do what you want. And he said, I got kids that I mentor and things like that. I can't just go out there. I said, Ken, not my problem. You know what I'm going to be saying. You know what's going to be doing. You know he's going to be trying to punch you. If you don't want to punch him, you want to hit him with open hands, so you do that in Pancrase all the time, do it. I go, I'm just telling you that if he does it to you, I'm going to say it's a foul, but nothing's going to happen from it. And so Ken went out there and, tried to hit him with open hands. That didn't work too well. It was the worst fight in the world. And it was all based upon a stupid ruling by judicial people that have no idea about fighting. There you go.
I completely forgot about that.
Oh, Jesus. What a nightmare.
Yeah.
Total nightmare.
I totally forgot about that. I totally forgot about UFC 9, that situation. Next.
All right, last one from Brett Kago, who asks, question for both. So far, what are your early contenders for Fight of the Year in UFC and Bellator?
Oh, shit.
I hate to say this. Every time I watch a great fight, and then I'll watch another great fight, and I forget the other one. And the last great fight I watched was Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury.
Oh,
so I got to think now. I got to go back and think.
I can't even tell you, man.
It's a tough one. Volkanovski against Brian Ortega would be up there for me. That was a little one-sided in some ways, but there was so many exciting moments, especially in the third round, and just the way it was pretty goddamn impressive. So love that fight. Again, the farther something goes away, the more I forget it now because it's always on to the next. Well, you're really helping, aren't you? You can't remember anything.
I really so I'm like a nerd when it comes to when guys get after each other in the grappling area and stuff. So I look at Logan Storley and Yaroslav Amosov. I thought it was an absolute amazing fight. The scrambles, the positioning, and understanding how good Logan Storley was at wrestling and not being able to get takedowns, learning and looking and watching how flexible Amosov was and the ability he had to stuff takedowns, scramble from underneath.
Not this year.
That was this year, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't.
No, it was like April.
No, it was not. It was 2020.
No, look it up.
Listed by Topology.
No, look it up. Look it up. Look
Okay.
up the Amosov and Storley fight.
I don't think that was in 21.
I thought it was in April.
No.
I thought it was one of the first fights in April.
Yeah. You could be right, but I thought that would.
No, it was last November.
It was 2020.
Oh, okay. Well, fuck it. I'm wrong. Well, been right, been wrong.
Sorry about that, dude.
Shit.
I was just like, I think that was 2020. That was already passed.
Topology listed a few here.
Okay, so look, Holloway Cater one-sided. I thought it was a great fight, but it was one-sided.
Well, yeah,
one-sided.
Reyes versus Prochazka. I will give that one. I like that fight.
It's good.
Based upon Dominic Reyes bit down on his mouth and said, I'm going to give everything I have. I thought he was getting beat pretty much pillar to post in that fight, but I love the heart that he showed in it, and it was a pretty dramatic knockout, if you want to say that, which is not good for Dominic, but it was a good fight. I thought I really enjoyed Edson Barbosa versus Burgos. I thought that was a great
okay.
fight.
I didn't think it was.
Oh, I thought it was a good fight
okay.
with a strange knockout. I thought that was a pretty.
The Ponzinibbio Baeza fight or whatever was fucking good.
That was good.
That was a fun fight.
Yeah,
that was a fun fight. Scroll down more.
I like how they're all written for me now. I don't have to think at all.
Yeah.
Oh, Dober and Riddle was great. I love that fight.
That was
And I know Riddle's going to be fighting coming up soon, so that's a guy I'll watch every time.
Oh. Yeah.
Hard to impress.
I mean,
Josh.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Nothing is
like,
impressing
I'm thinking, no. I mean, like there was not like I guess for me, I was looking for a fight like a Joanna and Weili Zhang.
Yeah,
fight.
those don't happen that often.
Yeah, but that was a fight that was like back and forth. I mean, Weili Zhang was losing the first 2 rounds, and then she came back and won the next 3, and it was close. And I'm looking for fights like that. You know, they're not many. There's not many of them. So, but yeah, over that, yeah. Anyways. All right, next. That was it. Yep. All right, go to ProWrestlingTees.com/weighing in. Pick up one of the shirts. We got to come up with a design, too, that just says weighing in podcast on it. Like, I don't know, but across the front.
You mean like
just
all 10 of these?
No. Like, just like in simple writing. You understand what I'm saying? Like, see how John's shirt looks right there? It just says, like, merging vets and players. Something like, not stacked like that, but like something that just goes across the chest like that, and then right below maybe podcast. I don't know, something like that. Just to have, anyways.
Well,
I just look at
good.
I am. We've been doing this for 2 hours. I'm already getting tired. All right, let's go to ProWrestlingTees.com. Use the promo code.
And still.
I keep wanting to say Wayne.
I know.
And pick up one of our shirts and check them all out. They also go to our Clips channel and our regular channel on our YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. I want to thank you guys for following us as well as on all of our audio platforms, which has been growing as of lately, and we thank you guys for that. So I hope you guys have a wonderful evening and enjoyed this show. I did rant quite a bit today, but it was all knowledge that I'm hoping to share with you guys, and hopefully you guys listen to some of that and say, you know what, I'm going to go check that fighter out. I'm going to check that fighter out, you know, and we were able to share my knowledge. That's what we're here for. John?
There you go. Last thing I'm going to say is, Podcast Dave, you were horrible today. Horrible.
Too much WWE.
Bringing up WWE. My God. Other than that, everyone else, we're out. See ya.